And that's the problem with doing it like with a Clubhouse or whatever, because that will give things away. So I could always mute myself right when I press that button. That's what I'll need to do in the future. All right. Miguel sent a request to be on your live video. Why not? I'm already censored as fuck. Let's go. I know you're in Lions Den, I think. Don't disappoint. All right. And so this is Alpha Male Ideas. If you're catching this recording, then I'm your host, Yogi Chris, PhD. Welcome. And we're streaming on various apps. We have people here live, and you're catching this recording. So, follow and subscribe. Check out the links we have in the description. These are the ideas that I get from AZD Lions Den, his beast camps, living with him. We're highly tapped in to the red pill of the matrix of male-female dynamics. There's different matrices, or really the word is matrices, but it sounds nerdy, but that's what it is. It's matrices. And you can group it in so many different ways. Let's say I teach yoga. So there's a whole yoga matrix of words. But on Earth, there's a spiritual matrix. There's a mating matrix between men and women. Obviously, this is human constructs, the spiritual matrix, the mating matrix, and the money matrix, which is also government money matrix. And they're all linked, of course, because the higher ups, all of that stuff is controlling media, which influences how people go about male, female, how they go about spirituality, and they control government, how they vote and everything. They control government money. They control it all. So they get people wrapped up in a matrix that's not in their own interest. The alpha male is in their own interest. You could say an alpha female is one that's about her own interest, but by default in nature, she's not alpha in her environment. She needs a man. She really needs a man that has a tribe, because one man, one woman is still not very strong in the environment, but it's a lot stronger. It's more than just two hers. And so the very nature of the matrix is to disempower the alpha male, which then leaves the female vulnerable. And then of course the children are forsaken, and then everybody's lost. All just through wrong values and mass mind control. But the alpha male is the enemy of that. And it's all about waking up or awakening a genetic yearning to survive and replicate, basically. I mean, survive and replicate, and then peace and happiness and love and contentment with your life. That's like the spiritual matrix. The trap of what they do with the spiritual matrix is they trap you in beliefs and ideas that would sacrifice your mating and sacrifice your money. So they kill the other two matrices from that spiritual matrix, right? Each one of them are so interwoven. When you start to wake up as an alpha male, you'll need to wake up as all the others. As all the others. You'll be paralyzed in some way if you're not for your own survival, not for your own replication. And you're on a planet with a bunch of zombies and prisoners that are asleep and dangerous and wounded and distracted and stressed out and high strung and all kinds of fucked up. And so how are you going to navigate this as an alpha male? Because you could be alpha male, but what you got to get women, or what are you alpha? What are you alpha of at some point? And then, but women, are you really expecting to meet the woman that you want? You got to make the woman that you want. You make her into what you want. You're not going to meet exactly. It's just kind of ridiculous to think. Let alone, even if it wasn't just a prison planet that the children grew up completely, I mean, whatever, even if they had the perfect parents and the perfect upbringing, according to strong ethics, high survival values, great communication, to think that they're going to be perfect for you is just weird. There's going to be some molding. And how that goes about and what direction it goes in continuously, because there's never an end to it. You just keep going. As soon as you stop leading, then it starts going wayward, all kinds of chaotic directions. Then you got to be motivated. You got to be real motivated. You got to be awakened on the inside of your life is fleeting and there's possibilities, but you're going to have a lot of resistance. You're going against the current pretty much always, until what you do is you'll build up a big vessel, and that's your ecosystem or your sphere of influence. And you got to clean through your Instagram. Like one of my apprentices was talking about something, but he hasn't cleaned through his Instagram. He hasn't cleaned through his social media. I have nobody hitting me up on social media about join their business or they're not prospecting me for anything. I get prospected zero. The last time it happened was like over a year and a half ago. And you just handle it because you're so about your business and so on your purpose and on your what you're doing that what are they going to sell you on? I have a teacher. What are somebody else going to sell me on? What's a girl going to sell me on? What's a guy going to sell me on? Like, that's how disloyal people like, because you haven't found something good enough. What are you doing with your life that someone else could sell you on something? As a woman, what are you going to get sold on to do with your life and exchange money for, exchange time and effort for? If you have a man, then what are you doing? Is it for your relationship or is it for yourself? Because the alpha female mentality is completely wrong. And you lose yourself and destroy your life. But then what guy are you molding to? So that, that's your choice and whatever. But these are alpha male philosophies that wouldn't be said in a lot of places, that you are just about yourself, actually. And the relationship, what she's trying to do is get you to feel a way about her so that when it comes time to be about yourself, if it's not in her interest or if it harms her in some way, that you feel so that's what she's trying to do. And what happens the closer and more into marriage and monogamy you get, and that her moods, her fluctuations affect you so much because so much of your day-to-day time is wrapped up in interactions with her and interact in a life, a household with her and finances with her. And how compliant is she to what you're doing? Well, then you need to sidetrack and go a different direction with what you're planning. Like I just had an apprentice that suggested do something that was unrelated to what I was doing because I've already gone through my Instagram. I don't need to hit people up like that to just prospect them for business. I'm only interacting with people that engage with my stuff. I just put it out there. I don't just go and cold prospect through my list because my list is clean. I know who's there. So, why was I saying that? You're for your own survival. You make that decision on your survival. Yeah. So her game is to get you to feel about her so that, so my apprentice, he says something and it's off of the line of thinking where I'm going. And it's a change of subject. And I asked him, do you know that you're changing the subject on me? Yes, he knows he's changing the subject on me. And well, that's a challenging of my leadership, or even if you don't see it as a challenge, it's a side railing or a sidetrack of the momentum of my thought of where I'm going. And it's so clear to me because I was leading very strongly and succinctly and logically in a line. Now what happens to a guy, he's leading his own life and the girl comes along and starts to sidetrack him and side rail him and his momentum lessens in that direction. To the monogamous and married man, it gets so interwoven that he's barely leading. Like I saw Dwayne Wade and his wife, and he's like, I don't lead in my marriage. He says that it's a headline, and his kid is transgender. He has a son that thinks that he's a girl. He's 12 years old. So a correlation is not causation. I'm telling you that the deeper into the girlfriend, guy friend, fucking matrix, that warped matrix of nature, because that's not natural. That warped matrix that's pulled your attention off of what's best for you and her. It sacrifices her. It sacrifices her children to pull her into a relationship that the man will get weaker and be a weaker role model for the kids, a weaker protector for the woman, a weaker provider for emotional strength. She gets her freedom from anxiety and her emotional strength from him, because her worries are worries of survival, and he reassures that in all sorts of different ways. And what snaps her out of the drama a lot of times is, if you don't stop the drama, you're going to lose me. And it falls back because the drama is something that may not be such a pressing survival need. when it drops down to the basic of, oh, I'm going to lose survival if I keep thinking about this thing, you have to compare. And maybe you decide the thing is more important. Or maybe you decide the man is more important. And hopefully you choose an alpha man whose wisdom and knowledge of cause and effect, the enlightened alpha male, is such that he's right. That what you were doing was dramatizing something that didn't need to be dramatized. And sometimes he's wrong. And hopefully you've chosen an enlightened alpha male that would be a good topic for an enlightened alpha male that is net positive. He makes decisions that it's much more positive than the wrong times he is. And again, you shouldn't sidetrack. So the disagreement, the problem is not even if the woman is right when he's wrong. It's that when she questions the leadership and then it turns out she's right, she'll question it more frequently. And then it side rails his leadership. What he needs is a woman that complies. And what she needs is a man that leads well. And that's up to her. And it's up to him to lead. I mean, so how does she know what's a good leader? Well, dad, father, like, if she doesn't know, that's her problem. But if you want her, then you'll teach it. Because you got to educate her. You're enticed by sexuality and sexual exchange for whatever reasons. You're enticed by sex. That's what you want. You want sex. And if you could get it for giving less, you would. But your want of her will give you more patience and more persistence and more of a reason to figure out how to say it in a way to pull her towards you with your words instead of grabbing her arm and pulling you towards you. You want her to move herself towards you with your words. And that needs to communicate survival. You need me to survive. Not because you can't get a job somewhere and make money for yourself, but because your life will be in ruin. And survival is measured by your emotions, actually. That's how it's measured. Like, you live, okay, that's survival. But how do you feel about your survival? You could have a lot of money, but feel so stressed out that you're about to die. It's not about the external. You could be in bliss internally, and externally might not be in what's visibly a high survival condition, but you're going through a state of high survival or low survival. That's what it's the threat to the survival that pushes your genetic machine into motion, propels it, or the threat to your replication. It's a different dynamic. There's two different dynamics, the survival and replication. A threat to your replication, which is whatever your strategy, your mating strategy. When you feel threatened about your strategy, something will kick in genetically. It's a genetic, because survival is threatened for the woman or replication is threatened for the man. If it's in a right dynamic, meaning if he's beta to his woman, he might feel the survival threat if she's going to cheat on him or leave. Right? So, where was I going with that? Let's see. So she complies. He's looking for a woman that complies, or he should be. She's looking for a man that leads well. And survival is, who does she feel best with? She's going to measure that on her feelings. But her feelings, it's a big mixture of a lot of mind control and survival coding in the genes. The pro emotions are supposed to be communicating that this is a good survival situation. That's why drugs hijack and fuck up the system, because they make you feel high survival. But is that in any way, like, you have those receptors because there's activities in life that feed those receptors, and those they have a positive feedback on your evolution, so they have persisted. They give you the good feelings, you act out those good feelings, it leads to better fulfillment and higher survival. You're a better parent because you feel better, so you don't abuse your kids, and the kids grow up better. And so over time, if you do those activities that feed your positive receptors and things like that, I mean, that's why those have evolved into existence. They were pro-survival activities. Now we hijack that with drugs. We can be doing negative activities, but feeling survival about it. So that's what's fucked up about that. So we need wisdom and philosophy to know what you're doing. And don't do drugs. So, You know, when she feels, so you should measure your future on how are you going to feel about your future. And then she's going to have also some cultural and society induced aims, you know, that she's looking for independence or certain money or certain house and bag and certain kids and a picket fence and a marriage, a ring, a certain kind of wedding. So that's not in her genes. There's a little bit of that in her genes. She likes survival value and she likes monogamy. But a lot of the rest is just materialism and mind control to push that and imprint it so that she seeks it out unconsciously. And so even if she unplugs with you and is with you for 1 year, 10 years, how many years did she have in the matrix? And how many of those years were you really pulling her out of the matrix? As you keep growing and coming out of your matrix of mating, matrix of money, matrix of spirituality, you got to keep leading her, but you're still ahead of her. That means you're moving faster, further, you know, she's just trying to keep up. Or her or them or whatever. You know, so what do you need? Do you need a bunch of questions, a bunch of complaints, a bunch of obligations, or do you need compliance? And there's a dynamic that goes on between men and women that's beyond, you could call it beyond the pure alpha male, but then we start going into enlightened alpha male. That's going to be the alpha male energy as a seed that has with it ethics, knowledge of cause and effect. What are you doing with your life? There's consequences to actions that if you impose that in the jungle, the justice and whatever, that ends up being the survival of a social animal. You know, social animals evolved on this planet and then aliens came and intervened and whatever, but it's still the social animal genetics are there. You know, we've far outgrown the evolution of our small groups interacting. So we developed through our imagination and language ethics for how to get along with each other, but they warped definitions and they warped philosophies and they censored information so you don't know the truth. And so they can give you false ethics that makes you sacrifice yourself. But the word should mean pro-survival ideas. That's why you should join our beast camps. That's why you should join the Silent Flute, because I'll help you tap in. I'll help you tap in. Okay. So that's what I have to say now. Is there anybody that would like to unmute, or you could comment on Instagram or Facebook and you want to chime in with anything? Let me know. You should definitely subscribe if you're catching this later, follow, and that's the end. So yeah, just unmute or raise your hand, or I'll just end it here. All right. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Os.